Good morning. Thanks for joining me on another Saturday morning. It's a snowy day here in Chicagoland. I'm going to have to get out and shovel pretty soon, so we'll make this quick. And I thought I would start out by addressing a situation, a question that a lot of you have posed out there, and that's, who is this guy, Jeff? Well, to be honest, no one's ever posed that question before. But what I want to talk about is my obsession that leads to me creating these videos, right? So you understand. Now, I watch a lot of movies, and the movies I watch are usually up here or down here, like high artsy movies and the bottom of the barrel B films, the low budget, I don't know what I'm doing, filmmaker type films. I love those, and primarily because you never know what you're going to get in those movies, right? From the camera work to the acting to the script to the whatever, it'll surprise you every time. It seems nowadays most filmmakers, well, they've all been to film school. They all know the proper shots and angles, and they all use quick cuts. And and a lot of the stories are so predictable. Anyway, and I don't like superhero movies, So I'll be watching a movie, like recently I watched The Girl from Rio from 1969. I was watching the Riff Tracks version, so I like to laugh. And I saw this face, and I'm like, whoa, who is that? Look at those eyes. I need to know, right? So while the movie's on, I'm on the internet looking her up. And she was a girl named Martha Reeves. And she didn't do a lot. I couldn't find a lot of information about her. This is a picture of her from a movie called Jaguar. And again, she looks interesting, but I don't think she had much of a career, so she probably won't appear on the show, but I couldn't help myself. Like this guy here, I saw him in an old Untouchables episode, Joe Turkel. Now, Joe Turkel was around forever. He just died last year, and he was in like a lot of Kubrick movies. He was in a lot of Burt I. Gordon movies. He was even in Blade Runner. He might be one that I'll do an episode on because I have to look into him, see what kind of information I could find, because you never know. But if there's a story there, he'll be on the show. Another one I'm thinking about is Pat Hingle. Look at that face. Everybody loves Pat Hingle, right? I do. Again, I gotta look into these people and find out, is there a story there? Because that's the bottom line. Is there a story there? Anyway, that's my obsession. That's what I do. I get up at 4 a.m. I'm on this computer, researching people, going through old newspapers, old interviews, trying to find the story, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, it's time to get on with the show. Okay, I'm changing the show. From now on, I'm using notes. I've actually always used notes. Usually they're taped up here. That's why you see me doing this a lot. But I'm just going to hold them, and you'll see me looking down a lot. Sorry, I'm old. Kids, you'll get to be my age eventually, and you'll forget things, and it's just easier for me. Anyway, the first thing I'd like to do is give a shout out to Deb Jacobs. Deb left a couple of nice comments on my June Prizer episode, and she said that as a youth, she took dancing lessons from June after June retired from acting. And she had nothing but good things to say about her, which was wonderful to hear, because I'm always worried that somebody's going to give me some bad information or say this person was a jerk or whatever, but hopefully this confirms what I thought about June. So thank you, Deb. It's really appreciated. And I got a couple of nice comments on my Rondo Hatton video from last week. A couple of them I'd like to read. The first one was from Eddie Spaghetti Presents. And Eddie said, "Great job! I have a Rondo Hatton t-shirt. I first remember seeing him in the 1991 movie The Rocketeer, decades after he died, in a homage the film did to him by using makeup effects to turn another actor into a Rondo Hatton lookalike." Yes, and I was going to mention The Rocketeer in my thing last week, but there just wasn't time. I tried to keep it to a half an hour. But yeah, the character's name was Lothar, and he was played by Tiny Ron Taylor. Now, interestingly, I read that Disney tried to keep that quiet because they were afraid that the Hatton family would come after them for money. Like Disney couldn't afford to pay out a few shekels here and there. But another comment from Dave LaViolette, and I hope I pronounced that correct, Dave. He really wasn't a bad-looking guy, just a little more character in his face. I always thought that Rondo was a tall man, but Ty Powers wasn't all that tall at 5'9". Rondo looks really short in that scene. I thought the same thing. you know? And I thought I read, and I might be wrong about this, that when he was in high school, he was listed as being 5'10". I don't know about that. And he was a star high school and college quarterback. It seems a little odd for a guy that short to be a quarterback, so I don't know if it had something to do with his disease or whatnot. You tell me, because I have no clue. But thanks, Dave. I appreciate the comment. And to Eddie Spaghetti and everybody else who commented. I love getting those comments. Thank you so much. Now I want to clear up a few misconceptions when it comes to Rondo that I didn't have time to really talk about in my video last week. And the first one is he was voted the most handsome man in his class. And that's just not true. And I found this article from 1983 in which this guy claims that he was voted twice the most handsome man in his class. Is this just a situation where the guy thought, I have to really make it look dramatic? How about 2 times? Well, the fact of the matter is, Rondo only went to that high school for 1 year, so that's highly unlikely. And then I found this from an article by Leland Hawes called A Friendly Monster, and he had this to say. The Hillsborough High School Annual for 1913, the year that Hatton graduated, makes no mention of Hatton as the handsomest. In fact, the accolade went to J. Rex Ferrier, a classmate who became a prominent Tampa lawyer and Hillsborough County State's attorney. Case closed, all right? And I think I've read that it all started from a Ripley's Believe It or Not, where they made that up to make the story more dramatic, and everybody's just gone with it since then. So, but you can stop now. Jeff says stop. All right. The second one is that he was exploited by Hollywood, and this is repeated everywhere. Everybody talks about Rondo Hatton. They just used him, and Now I'm going to read an article by Stephen Dixon from The Guardian in 1976, and he had this to say. The most grotesque of all, Rondo Hatton, the star of The Brute Man and The Spider-Woman Strikes Back, who wasn't an actor at all but a former newspaper man, who became a real-life monster after suffering from acromegaly, a bone-distorting disease. In terms of Hollywood exploitation, what they did to poor Rondo Hatton must rank as the most horrible horror story of them all. First of all, I find it a little upsetting that you refer to Rondo as grotesque and a real-life monster. Rondo was a human being, a good human being, and just because he didn't have the looks that you would have wanted in a human being doesn't make him grotesque or a monster. It just doesn't. Get over it. But then he said in the article, who wasn't an actor at all but a former newspaper man. What does that have to do with anything? Most actors had jobs before they were actors. How many stories have I told about a beautiful female who won a beauty contest and turned that into an acting career, or she was a model and turned that into an acting career? And a lot of actors were busboys and whatnot before their acting career took off. Rondo went to Hollywood to be an actor. He made that choice, right? Like you said here, what they did to poor Rondo Hatton must rank as the most horrible horror story of them all. What did they do to Rondo except put him in movies like he wanted, paid him well for being in those movies, and gave him a career, a way to support his wife, mother, and father, who all lived with him in the house he was able to buy in California. I don't get why he was being exploited if everybody's getting what they want. The studio got a good monster, right? Rondo got a good career that he was happy with, and he was happy with it, and people got a couple great low-budget films. It's poor Rondo because of the disease he was suffering from, which caused him pain and suffering for the last 28 years of his life, not because Hollywood put him into movies. That's what he wanted, that's what Hollywood wanted, and apparently that's what the public wanted, and I love watching those movies. Rondo. Alright, I want to thank you for watching. I went off on a bit of a tangent there. Thanks to everybody who comments and likes my videos. That's wonderful. I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep making them. I'm working on a few right now. And I just wanted one last mention of something. If you have questions about anybody, actors or movies or whatever, trying to remember a movie, send them to me. I'd like to do a Q&A show one time where I read a bunch of questions and see if I can answer them, because I love doing research. Again, thank you for watching. I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.